Today, I will introduce the concept of ESG, SRI, and Green Sukuk within the context of Islamic finance. First, ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. It is a framework used to assess how responsibly a company operates. The environmental aspect focuses on issues such as climate change and resource conservation. The social aspect relates to employee welfare and community impact, while governance refers to transparency, accountability, and ethical management. These principles are consistent with Islamic values of fairness and responsibility. Second, SRI, or Sustainable and Responsible Investment, is an investment approach that considers both financial returns and positive social impact. It encourages investment in sectors such as healthcare, education, and renewable energy while avoiding harmful or unethical activities. This supports the objective of Maqasid al-Shari'ah, which aim to promote public welfare. Lastly, Green Sukuk is a Sharia-compliant financial instrument used to fund environmentally friendly projects. Examples include renewable energy, sustainable transportation, and energy-efficient developments. Green Sukuk allows investors to earn returns while contributing to environmental sustainability. In conclusion, ESG, SRI, and Green Sukuk demonstrate how Islamic finance supports ethical investment, social responsibility, and sustainable development.
Now, let's move on to the relationship between Islamic finance principle and sustainability. The relationship between Islamic finance principle and sustainability is that both aim to create a fair, ethical, and responsible system. Islamic finance promotes environmental protection, social welfare, and economic justice, which are also the main goals of sustainability. First, Khilafah or stewardship teach that humans are caretakers of the earth. Therefore, we should protect the environment, reduce the pollution, and use natural resources responsibly. Second, La dara wa la dirar means no harm should be caused to others or the environment. This principle discourages investment in harmful industries such as gambling, tobacco, and weapons. The third one is riba and gharar are prohibited in Islamic finance. This means interest, excessive uncertainty, and speculation are not allowed. As a result, financial activities must be fair, transparent, and linked to real economic activities. And the fourth one is mudarabah and musyarakah. Promote profit and risk sharing between the parties. This encourages cooperation, fairness, and responsible business practices. And the last one is zakat, sadaqah, wakaf help redistribute wealth and support those in need. They contribute to poverty reduction, education, healthcare, and community development. In conclusion, Islamic finance support sustainability by protecting the environment, preventing harm, promoting fair finance, encouraging responsible partnership, and improving social welfare. Therefore, Islamic finance and sustainability share the same goal of creating a better future for society and the environment.
Now, let's learn about the differences between conventional bonds and sukuk. To begin, what exactly are they? A conventional bond is a debt instrument. This means that investors lend money to a government or a company, and in return, the issuer promises to repay the amount borrowed along with interest. Sukuk, however, are different. Sukuk are Islamic investment certificates that give investors ownership or beneficial ownership in an asset, project, or business activity. The next difference is Sharia compliance. Why is this important? Conventional bonds involve interest known as riba and may also involve gharar, which refers to excessive uncertainty. Since these elements are prohibited in Islam, conventional bonds are generally not Sharia compliant. Sukuk, on the other hand, are specifically structured according to Islamic principles and therefore comply with Sharia requirements. Let's move on to the source of return. Bond investors earn fixed interest payments, often called coupon payments, regardless of the issuer's business performance. Sukuk investors do not earn interest. Instead, their returns come from actual economic activities such as profits from business, rental income, or revenue generated by the underlying assets. Another important concept is profit and loss sharing. In conventional bonds, investors receive predetermined returns and have limited involvement in the risk of the business. With sukuk, investors share both the profits and risks associated with the underlying asset or investment. This creates a stronger connection between the investment and real economic performance. Now, let's discuss ownership. Bondholders are creditors, meaning they lend money and have a claim on the issuer's debts. They do not own any assets. In contrast, sukuk holders have ownership or beneficial ownership rights in the underlying asset. The use of fund is also different. Money raised through conventional bonds can generally be used for any legal business activity. However, funds raised through sukuk must be invested only in Sharia compliance activities and cannot be used for prohibited industries such as gambling, alcohol, or other non-halal business. For example, conventional bonds include government bonds, treasury bonds, and corporate bonds. Common types of Sukuk include Sukuk Ijarah, which is based on leasing asset, and Sukuk Wakalah, which is based on agency agreement, where an agent manage investment on behalf of investor.
Next, I will explain the main characteristic of ESG or SRI sukuk and green sukuk in Islamic finance. First, this sukuk must follow Sharia principles. Unlike conventional bonds that involve interest, sukuk are based on real assets or business activities. The money raised also cannot be used for prohibited activities such as gambling, alcohol, or tobacco. For example, a green sukuk can be used to fund a solar energy project. Second, this sukuk focus on responsible and ethical investment. Besides making a profit, they also help create benefit for society and the environment. For example, the funds can be used for renewable energy projects, affordable housing, schools, and hospitals. Third, transparency and accountability are important. Companies must clearly explain how the funds are used and provide updates on the project's progress. This helps investors know that their money is being used properly. Another characteristic is measurable sustainability impact. The project funded should show real results such as reducing carbon emissions or improving the life of local communities. Lastly, ESG or SRI sukuk and green sukuk support ESG goals and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, such as clean energy, quality education, good health, and environmental protection. So, in conclusion, ESG or SRI sukuk and green sukuk combine Islamic values with sustainability goals, making them a good way to support ethical investment and sustainable development.
Do you know what is the importance of Maqasid al-Sharia in sustainable Islamic finance? Maqasid al-Sharia, or the objective of Islamic law, serves as the foundation that guides Islamic finance beyond just making profit. It focuses on 4 key pillars. First, purpose beyond profit. Same as SDG, Islamic finance aims to improve human well-being and promote sustainable living based on justice, balance, accountability, and social responsibility. Besides that, it also supports the development of green sukuk as a Sharia-compliant tool for environmental protection and sustainable economic growth. Second, it works to reduce poverty and inequality through inclusive financial instruments such as zakat, wakaf, and profit-sharing financing, which distribute wealth fairly and support communities in need. Third, it protects the 5 essential elements of society: deen, religion; nafs, life; akli, intellect; nas, family; and mal, wealth. Fourth, it encourages a shift from halal to tayyib, moving beyond what is morally permissible to what is truly ethical, beneficial, and sustainable. Well, let me add some more. Maqasid al-Sharia also protect and improve the aspect of human and social well-being. This diagram above illustrates the 5 essential elements of Maqasid al-Sharia, also known as the 5 hifzu or core protections, which form the core objective of Islamic finance. The 5 elements surrounding the chart, as mentioned before, together, these 5 elements work in a continuous cycle, ensuring that Islamic finance does not operate in isolation, but instead upholds the spiritual, social, and environmental responsibilities of every individual and institution. Finally, the transition from halal to tayyib marks the pinnacle of Islamic finance. It is no longer enough to simply avoid what is prohibited. It is a system built not just for financial gain, but for the greater good for humanity.
I will briefly explain the example of sectors and projects financed through ESG and SRI sukuk. Firstly, clean transportation projects aim to reduce greenhouse gas emission and environmental impacts. In Malaysia, examples include electric rail projects such as the MRT, LRT, and ECRL, which support sustainable transportation and development. Secondly, renewable energy projects focus on regenerating energy from natural resources, such as solar and wind power. A notable example is the Kudat 50 MW solar farm in Sabah, which supplies clean electricity to the national grid. Another important sector is green building and energy efficiency. These projects promote low-carbon buildings and energy-saving technologies. One example is the Merdeka 118 prison, which was financed through sustainability sukuk. Moving to the social aspect, healthcare and education projects improve public welfare. Examples include the Khazanah National Trust School Program, Malaysia's first social sukuk initiative, and sustainability projects by KPJ Healthcare. Finally, ESG and SRI Sukuk also support climate resilience as well as water treatment and waste management projects. This initiative help communities adapt to climate change, improve recycling system, reduce pollution, and promote environmental sustainability. In conclusion, ESG and SRI Sukuk play an important role in financing projects that create positive environmental and social impact while supporting sustainable development in Malaysia. Thank you.